if I look around myself, I see a perfect storm brewing. A perfect storm is something where all elements come together which were not supposed to come together, but they are coming together. In my mind, there are 4 elements which are coming together which are going to change the world forever. The first is this whole issue of changing economy and formation of new normal. The US inability to decide on what package they need to do to get the economy up. The Europeans' inability to face the truth and understand that there is a big issue, and therefore we see a problem coming out every day. India's inability of taking a decision because they are lost in scandals and corruption. Middle East inability of getting the economy rocking because there are governance models which are changing in that country. Japan struggling with a 200% debt on GDP. And that brings me to China. I had an opportunity of meeting the premier at Dalian a couple of months back, and he said 4 things which shook me up. He says, my biggest problems are, number 1, corruption in my party. Number 2, my party's interference in governance. Number 3, lack of growth will create social unrest. Number 4, China has to move away from lending money to investing money, and the world has to allow it to do it. So unlike 2008, there seems to be a storm of small and big size brewing all over the world. In 2008, India and China and the emerging markets were driving growth. But that's not all. If you look at leadership in countries are not able to take decisions. We were used to command and control. We were used to US taking certain policy decisions, certain economic policy decisions, and the rest of the world would follow, and the world was a good place to stay. Now we have G20, which takes G0 decisions because the collaborative work style doesn't work. So we have a perfect storm, number 1 element getting created where the economic scenario across the world is redefining a new normal. There is no leadership which is going to do anything about changing it, and there is no collective leadership visible, at least to me, of who will come and bring about a new change. That's 1. The second perfect storm is the emergence of the emerging. Remember, the word globalization was defined as the West moving to East and opening the markets. However, in 2008, 2 things happened. The emerging markets performed, the emerging market companies performed. And suddenly in the Western world, the goods and services of the emerging markets became more valuable than they were ever before. And renewed confidence came in the mind of these emerging market countries and companies, and therefore they started asserting themselves. So now for the first time, we have developed market companies focusing on emerging markets with their best talent, with their best ideas, with their best innovation, because that is the last hope of growth. And they are facing intense competition, not only in emerging market from the local companies, but also in their backyard when emerging market companies are coming with new products, new services, new price point in their backyard. So the competition scenario which exists and will exist in the foreseeable future is so intense that we have never seen that ever before. The third perfect storm, as if it was not enough, is changing consumer. The Gen Y has arrived. Now, I know you have an opinion, as I have, on Gen Y, but they are real, they are here. Their buying patterns are different, their influencing patterns are different, their view on brands is different. 90% of their decisions get made on the digital web, and 90% of the decisions get influenced by word of mouth and not by anything else which we are used to. They are culturally sensitive about how products and services are delivered to them. A case in example is a company called Flipkart in India, which recognized that Amazon model is good. However, Indians do not believe that credit card should be put on the web. So what they do is they do exactly what Amazon do, but they go and collect cash when they deliver the goods. So more and more consumers are asking different products and services at different price points to be delivered with different experiences. So the existing investment in brands, in brick and mortar, in products and services are being tested as never before. because newer and newer innovation models are coming. Companies are born daily, and competitions are emerging daily. And with changing consumer, they are able to attract that consumer, and with that consumer, build a completely new company, which we didn't want to give them space to create. So that's a third perfect storm which is getting created. The fourth is the changing employee. In the end, we really thought that if we have all the problems, the employee is the person who's going to solve all the problem. Let's go back home. In our house, the teenager is asserting himself or herself and saying that I want an equal say in all decisions, and I want an unequal say in all decisions which are impacting me. I dare not say that to my dad. So the way we are putting our families together is by telling them that we are your friends. We will enable you, we will mentor you, but we will not command and control you. Whenever you have your first boyfriend or girlfriend, or whenever you take drugs or whatever you do, come and tell me. And that collaborative work style in our home is the only way we have put our house together with this new teenager Gen Y coming in. Unfortunately, the same Gen Y, when they come to office, we suffocate them under structures. We suffocate them under rules and regulations, and we suffocate them under command and control. So this employee, who was supposed to be the solution to our problem, is completely detached with the organization because he or she doesn't understand what the hell are we doing. And that perfect storm is also created because in 2008, we treated employees as our problems. And therefore, the trust between the employees and the management is at its poorest. So even if you have an idea which you want to implement, you need people to implement, and either they are people in the wrong structure or the wrong people, or they are completely disengaged for you to execute it. And therefore, when you put all these four elements together, you have a sense, I have a sense that we are in a situation as never before, and there's a perfect storm. So what do we do about it? Recently in India, we hosted our first F1 race. And this is the first time I saw an F1 race, right? And one thing which was very interesting, that when the world champion won the race in India, he said something very interesting, that Indian track on which they were racing is a very interesting track, and actually one of the best in the world, because it has 4 curves which allows you to overtake somebody else. Now what does that mean? What does that mean? That means that when you are racing straight, the ability for you to overtake somebody else is limited. But whenever a bend comes in, good racetrack drivers get very interested. There are lots of literature written on racetrack drivers who perform extremely when complete elements change and the computers are not running the car, there is a rain, there is a storm, everything changes, and those are the people who really perform. So these guys who are extremely good are waiting for curves, waiting for elements to change for an opportunity to win the race. So what I am talking about as perfect storm, a threat, and scaring you, is that not the biggest opportunity we all have ever seen in our lifetime? Because it's a curve, it's a bend. And if we treat our strategies correctly, if we put our elements together, won't we be able to convert this threat into the massive opportunity which the world has not seen so far? Because for the first time after a long time, we have a perfect storm, a curve, and an opportunity to beat our competition, increase our market share, which is what HCL is doing. So what could be the possible elements or critical success factors to make that happen? And what is it that we need to discuss and debate in the next 2 days? In my mind, the first is makes innovation the center stage of your idea. The reason Malcolm Gladwell is here today is because his whole research around innovation on the edge and Blink and everything which you have read about him is about structured innovation in our company. It's not about a single idea, right? Most of us are not Steve Jobs. So it is not about a single idea, it's about structured innovation, and innovation is happening in fringes with employees at the grassroots level, which is what HCL has tapped into. It is happening in partnership between you and us. It is happening with competition, co-option. It is happening all over the world. So what is the structure of innovation to bring those ideas to bear to solve some of the problems? So what is the architecture of innovation? And I think Michael Gladwell is going to spend an hour talking about that. I think the second, most important second is that how are you going to rejuvenate your employees? Your employees are not in touch with a reality of the fact that the problem is there. Number two, they are not part of your solution today. And number three, you desperately want them to be part of the solution. So what is your social architecture of the organization? What is your organization structure? What is your ethos? What is your philosophy around employees today? Because they are the last hope of solutions for you. And how are you changing it? How are you thinking about it? What experiments are you conducting in your organization to try and see how you can get the best out of the employees so that you can beat everybody else in that race? And the last part is transformation. What is the structure of your transformation? I believe if you look at the history, there are three elements which are very interesting in making successful transformations. The first is creating dissatisfaction with ourselves of today. How many of us in our companies are unhappy with our state of being in that company? And how many of us spend all our life selling to all the rest of the employees in the world that how good we are, how great we are number one in this and number two, you slice and dice the data to look good. Unless there is a significant amount of dissatisfaction, how do you expect the company to even start thinking about change? Forget about answering the perfect storm question. So if that thought process is not going to same, the first step is to honestly create positive dissonance in the company so that the journey of transformation has a chance, because people will want to change because I am unhappy with my current state of affairs, which is the point I'm making. We are perfect storm, and with every passing day we become irrelevant. The second is to create a vision of tomorrow which is so compelling that people will jump out of their bed and want to go and work for you, want to work for that vision, want to go and do it for you. What is that vision? And in that vision, what is in it for them? Do you have that? So if you have the dissatisfaction and you have the vision for tomorrow, then you can connect the two with small experiments, not big changes, with small experiments, and that would create magic and that would create transformation. So the three elements of critical success factors of turning the threat into an opportunity is a possibility. Let's go back to HCL and see what are some of the experiments which are working in HCL. In 2005, when we found ourselves in exactly the same situation of a perfect storm, a company which was losing mind share, market share, talent share, and everybody in the world knew it other than us. And that is true with a lot of companies today, and some of you will find it true in your organizations also today. We started looking at innovation, and if we have to transform, we started looking at the structure of transformation and saying a lot of companies have transformed themselves on what they do. And very few have succeeded like Apple. But is there a chance of transforming on how we do it? The Japanese transformed the way they manufactured cars and overtook the American automakers just because of the how. And we started our journey in transformation in searching how we run our company. And if on that axis, if we could innovate, we could create a sustained competitive differentiator compared to competition. That search took us to three questions which are relevant today, which we need to ask ourselves. The first question we asked ourselves is, what is the business HCL is in? And the answer to that question is that we are in the business of creating differentiated value, differentiated experience for our customers. That word differentiated is very important. If you can get the same experience from our competitors, why would you come to us? If you can get the same value from our competitors, why would you come to us? So the word differentiated was very important. Okay, we get it. Second question, where does this differentiated value or differentiated experience get created? And the answer was very interesting. Actually, it gets created in the interface of our employees and our customers. And that's the value zone. And then we asked ourselves the third question, which I think was the most important. So if our employees in that value zone are creating the differentiated value, which is critical for our growth, what are the managers doing? What should the business of managers and management be? What should be the social architecture of the organization which can succeed? And the answer was that the business of managers and management in this structure, in this social architecture, has to be to enthuse, encourage, enable the employees to create the differentiated value so that we can grow faster. That's exactly what we did. So that was the journey from 2005 to 2010. Today at HCL, we are convinced that with every passing day, we're becoming obsolete. Whatever philosophy we have adopted on employee first, customer second, is obsolete because it's not working anymore. The differentiation has to be incremental, the innovation has to be incremental, and therefore we have to find new and newer ways of doing it. Some of those experiments you would see through videos today. Videos of Mad Jam, searching for leaders called Mad Limited, make a difference, lead a difference, CEOs within the company who will come with ideas, who will crowdsource their ideas, and we will fund those ideas as CEOs and drive innovation through that area. The power of one, how do we connect community with the company? So there are, and value portal, there are many ideas which will be presented to you today during the course of the conference are the experiments which are going on. But I want to talk about two experiments which are very interesting to try and take this debate to an extreme right, to try and see why can't we debate an extreme thought? Why are we only talking about incremental thought? Why can't we talk about something extreme? And here is where the idea is originating, and this is an experiment which is happening in HCL. The question we asked ourselves is, what is a great social architecture of an organization? And there are two thoughts which originated in that. Number one is stock exchange. And we said that stock exchange is the purest form of finding the true value of innovation, products and services, where the buyer and the seller mutually co-discover under an overall governance structure of a stock exchange. Otherwise, the buyer and seller are not in a hierarchy, and nobody, no boss, no manager, get into a board meeting or a CEO takes a decision that this is the transfer price, or this is what you will do, and this you will do. There is this exchange, millions and millions of people come together and mutually discover the true value of the innovation. So can the innovation architecture within the organization look like a stock exchange? That's the first experiment which we have launched. We are attempting. Let's see where we go with that. The second experiment is actually a lot more interesting experiment. We said that, you know, the true social architecture of an organization is defined by the neural network in our body, which is many-to-many communication. That's how God made us to be. And then we created an organ structure, which is very pyramid, which is hierarchy. And when you see Facebook, it is actually a neural network technology, and people are loving it because that is many-to-many communication, and therefore you will be able to collaborate, socialize, take ideas, work with whoever you want for whatever topic you want. So it's a many-to-many social architecture which is catching the fancy of many Gen Y and actually a lot of our guys like us also. Today it is maybe used for irrelevant stuff, right, socializing, but can we use that social architecture of many-to-many collaboration to create innovation in our company? Can we destroy the hierarchy of the company, retain the governance hierarchy of the company, but destroy the hierarchy of the company and create an architecture where many-to-many work together to create innovation in a social network of Facebook, and you will see us presenting meme as our experiment in that area. The point I'm making is the fact that, yes, there is a perfect storm, and I truly believe every perfect storm creates a great opportunity for people to lead who really want to lead. Employees are going to be, innovation is going to be the center of the agenda. Employees are going to be at the center of the agenda. And one of the things we have to start believing in is that employee is no more part of the solution and no more part of the problem and actually part of the solution. Or I may state the only solution you may have. So the question and the idea which I want to leave for you to think about, if employee is the possible only solution you have, what are you going to do about it? And while you think on the subject, think about one other topic. Isn't everybody an employee? Isn't the President of America and the janitor and the CEO and all of you, your customers, your employees, everybody's an employee? If everybody is an employee and employee is the one who's going to solve our problems, why are we not celebrating being an employee? And if we start celebrating being an employee and get the employees back to work, why can't we fix the economic issues? Why can't we fix the innovation issues? Why can't we fix the emerging market issues? We can. We just have not taken the step forward of celebrating everybody is an employee. Thank you so much. Enjoy the conference, and I look forward to hearing ideas from you so that we live in a world which is better to live with every passing day. Thank you so much.